Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I've been wanting to cover this story for a little while, and now that, at least as the time that I'm recording this video, XRP price has been trending upward, crypto markets recovering at least a little bit, I thought it would be a fun time to talk about this. Plus, you know, it's a Sunday. Let's do something a little light and fun here, right? Here's the headline from Coinpedia. Uphold CEO shares how Ripple ruling news led to 5,000% surge in XRP trading volume. Which, by the way, folks, is absolutely bonkers. I've never heard of anything like this in my nearly 6 years in crypto. It's truly just absolutely insane. And I still think it's just a little taste, a little nibble, nibble, of what is yet to come, because as soon as markets start going ballistic at some unknown point in the future, which as far as I'm concerned is an inevitability, my God, the mad rush, it will be full on. That's why I can't believe for a moment that the most reasonable thing to speculate is that XRP will never hit a new all-time high. To me, that's a complete absurdity that the best we ever saw for XRP was January 4th, 2018. I think it's coming. And in fact, I want to share with you something from one of my fellow XRP YouTubers. He shared a chart which I just think makes perfect points, and it also highlights why it's not reasonable to be fearful purely because a price is going down. Because in the vacuum of reasons why, if there's nothing on a fundamental level that has changed, you know, getting the feels, it just doesn't make sense. And also on top of that, and I mentioned this a bit in the last video, I just want to expand upon it in much greater detail. Altcoins are oversold at this point. And so while, yeah, I certainly acknowledge here there's no guarantee that the market will trend upward or downward, if you just look at historically what this means, historically it's been a great buying opportunity. So anyway, plenty to discuss. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so this is such a cool story. I think you guys are gonna enjoy this one, because the demand that hit Uphold, the only United States cryptocurrency exchange that was offering XRP on July 13th when we got the legal clarity from Judge Torres, whoa, they got slammed. And yes, there's a couple other ways that you can buy XRP in the United States even prior to that. But they're, you know, like, what were they? So there was GateHub, and then is BitTrue, right? I'm sorry if I'm mistaken on. I'm pretty sure it was BitTrue. I think that sounds right. But anyway, the point is, yes, you could use them, but not United States based. So, and so Uphold has a hub here. I know they have other global presences, and maybe their technical HQs outside the U.S. I'm just saying they actually have physical exposure, presence here in the United States. But anyway, piece reads as follows. In July, a federal judge ruled that the sale of digital asset XRP on public exchanges by the cryptocurrency industry complied with securities laws, marking an early victory in its legal battle with U.S. regulators. Now, the CEO of digital financial platform Uphold has recounted the unexpected surge in trading volume that occurred after the landmark announcement. Simon McLaughlin said in an interview with Zach Rector that within minutes of the announcement, Uphold witnessed a staggering 50x spike in trading volume compared to the peak of the 2021 bull run. So let's pause to remind you, on July 13th, when this all went down, Uphold went down for a brief period of time. And normally when that happens, I just kind of like roll my eyes. But, you know, look, them being such ardent supporters of XRP and the XRP community, and the fact that they were the only source for XRP, you know, that's United States based, I was happy to forgive them, given that. And hearing now the CEO Simon McLaughlin recount what happened that day, I think it's pretty easy to give him a pass on this, to be perfectly honest with you. I think it's very fair. It's more unreasonable when, you know, 3 days ago Coinbase went down. Like when Coinbase went down 3 days ago, and it's not because of it's not like one coin did this, they just still can't handle the volume after understanding that volume is an issue based on what happened even in 2017. They still haven't fixed that. That's different than what you're going to see Simon McLaughlin recount here. And so here's a quote from him. He said, "We were literally the only trading venue in the United States that offered XRP, and within minutes of the announcement, we saw a 50x spike in volume compared to the peak of the 2021 bull run. And it wasn't so much the increase in volume, it was the suddenness of the spike. It was literally within 3 minutes we got a 50x spike, and it was after a specific tweet went out actually, end quote. Folks, that's bonkers. Now note that he didn't just say, you know, a 50x spike in volume from whatever that moment was. He said it was a 50x spike from the peak of the 2021 bull run. Which was obviously, there was way more volume then, obviously. A 50x spike in 3 minutes from there. It's just completely unheard of. So, you know, if it were over a longer period of time, presumably this wouldn't have happened, but this is beyond unprecedented. And check out what because they actually did have systems in place to prevent something like this, which don't sound unreasonable, and he talks about that in the next quote. Let me just proceed a little bit further, but it's just mind-blowing what happened. And again, I still think that this is a little taste of what happens the next time we hit, you know, crypto market euphoria. I think XRP holders, we're probably going to get ours, right? Anyway, piece continues. The CEO explained that they faced difficulties during the sudden surge because their systems weren't prepared for such a big increase. Even though they had tested their platform for high volumes before, the unexpected and fast surge surprised them. But Uphold has now made big changes to their systems to make sure they can handle such situations better in the future. And here's another quote. This created real challenges. We had already tested the platform for volumes up to 10x the peak of the 2021 market, but what caught us off guard this time was the abrupt and intense spike. So, since then, we've made numerous changes to prevent any future problems. End quote. So think about that. They already prepared for a tenfold volume increase from the peak of the 2021 bull market. Again, not from what's happening now, but from the top of the 2021 bull market. And that wasn't enough. It was a 50-fold increase. And had they had only enough bandwidth for a 40-fold increase, it still would have failed. Think about that. That's absolutely bonkers. So this seems pretty easy to forgive, but at least they've kind of figured out, okay, now we need to plan an even more unprecedented and seemingly otherwise unrealistic way, but they're doing it now. And then Peace wraps up by stating the discussion also delves into the broader market landscape and the recent heightened volatility. He also spoke about the exciting prospects of automated market makers on the XRP ledger. Simon expressed Uphold's interest in exploring this domain, considering ways to offer returns on investments to its users. And then there's this from my fellow XRP YouTuber Kevin Cage. This is an XRP USD chart. And he wrote the following. And it is worth looking. For those of you not driving or something like that, it's worth looking. But here's what Kevin Cage wrote. XRP daily following a familiar pattern with the 500D, 500 daily. Reminds me of the late 2020 I'm sorry, he didn't put the word "the" on there, and I just screwed up the flow. Reminds me of late 2020 before the lawsuit announcement. Crashes happen on the way up too. And so you can see back in, so here, what do we got here? This is the later part of 2020 where I'm circling the mouse where he made this little oval shape right here. And then obviously, you know what happened with it. So there's a big move up for XRP. Getting up to above 80 cents. I remember seeing that before the lawsuit dropped in 2022. And then obviously with the news of the lawsuit dropped right on down. But it still went on a rally. So his point is we've seen stuff like this. And what preceded that? You know, XRP had a move to the upside and went to the downside. And so he pointed out we had something like that in, which earlier this year, starting back in maybe about April or so. Something that on a graph, certainly on a chart here, looks very similar. And then what happened? You had a dramatic move to the upside with XRP hitting, the highest I ever saw was 90 cents, but a lot of people are reporting the high was actually like 93 cents, and that's fine. It depends on where you pull the data from anyway. But, obviously a move to the downside and crypto markets crashed just a few days ago. But the point is just because you see these big swings, this is the reason I want to highlight this. We've seen this before. Big move to the upside, big move to the downside, but then it runs. Yes, we've absolutely seen that before. In fact, I'll tell you one more. I don't have a chart for it, just entered my mind here. But in 2017, XRP started out the year somewhere around half a penny. And the highest it had been at that point in price, could be mistaken, so don't hold me to this, but I want to say maybe it was 6 cents. I think it was 6 cents. I could be mistaken. But even that would be a lot higher. That's 12-fold away from what the price was at the beginning of 2017, from half a penny to 6 cents, even if that's the right one. But the point is, XRP ended up running in the span of several months all the way up to something like 42 or 43 cents. But then it cratered back on down to the point where when I finally bought XRP when I bought it the first time, I think it was like 20 or 21 cents, and that would have been November 17th of 2017. And in between that, though, like I can't remember exactly how low XRP got. It might have been like 10 or 15 cents, something like that. But we see the point. There have been multiple instances where XRP has these crazy run-ups, crashes back down, but the crash back down has never meant that it's going to zero and will never happen again. So this time would have to be different. And those are famous last words, aren't they? This time's different. Yeah. I'm certainly not confident about that. Which is why, you see something like this. Like here's a headline from Crypto Newsland. XRP's path to $1.87. Expert analyst predicts 269% rally despite recent setbacks. And I don't want to go through, I try to not do it on my channel as much as I can stay away from the actual technical analysis because it bores me to tears. The actual, I still read it because I want to understand what the points that they're going to make sure they're not saying Looney Tunes wacky stuff. So like, I'll do that. But I don't think that most people, I think what most people I think are like me in the sense that they're just interested in what the potential outcome is. And then there are some of you listening that love to get into the weeds, and that's fine. We all have different interests when it comes to that stuff. To me, it just bores me to tears. I'm more interested in big picture, what's happening, what's going on in the news, and what I'm going to have to do to continue doing nothing so that I get life-changing wealth. Because that's my plan, is to just buy stuff and then do nothing until it's worth way more in the future. So if you're a trader, obviously you have very different approach there. I'm just not a trader. I just huddle, But anyway, so this particular analyst, they're talking about Dark Defender here, has got quite a following at this point, up to 92,400 followers, and he's indicating that back in May, he was targeting 89 cents, and ended up getting a little higher than that if we got the positive news. And obviously, we rolled back on down. But again, that's why I wanted to highlight what Kevin Gage had to say too. He's just showing you what happened on a damn chart. You had a big pullback, but it doesn't mean that something isn't going to happen in the future. And I feel the same now. I've always felt the same. And the history of XRP is replete with examples like that. And so for you to not think that's going to happen in the future, you would have to say this time is different. And again, to me, those are just famous last words. I just don't buy into that. Here's the headline from the Daily Hodl. Altcoins flashing bullish signal after last week's bloodbath, according to analytics firm Santiment. New data from market intelligence firm Santiment suggests that altcoins may recoup some of their losses from the crypto market's sharp downturn last week. According to the crypto analytics platform, altcoins are overwhelmingly showing undervaluation after last week's bloodbath, leaving investors divided on how quickly the markets can recover. So folks, let's pause a note here again, and it is the tale of as old as time. As Chicken Little's yelling that the sky is falling 3 days ago during that major global market capitulation in crypto. What were the whales doing? They were just nomming on your fear as you were selling it. As you were selling your crypto, the whales swooping right on in here. Now you're at a point where historically this means that cryptos are undervalued. And if they're undervalued right here, if this is true, then wouldn't you think at some point they would probably be worth more in the future? Isn't that kind of the point here? Isn't that historically how things have always worked in crypto? Piece continues. Using the market value to realized value metric, MVRV for short, which gauges whether a crypto asset is overvalued or undervalued, Santiment finds that the majority of altcoins are currently trading in the underbought zone. And here's the quote. Market caps have fallen considerably over the past week, and traders are very polarized. Many believe a quick recovery is coming, while others see this as just the beginning of the dump. But undeniably, average crypto returns are in a mathematically historic opportunity zone, end quote. Exactly. So, even though we can't know for sure, and maybe by the time you're watching this, even if it's shortly after I post this video, and I'm feeling pretty good, and XRP, I noted at the start of the video, XRP price is up. Fantastic. Well, maybe by the time you're watching this, it's down further, and I just still say, so what? We're talking about probability here. That's what Santiment's talking about, certainly. And even if the price goes lower, that doesn't change a damn thing about what I've been saying throughout this video. Looking at a very short time frame and drawing gigantic conclusions over that is completely unreasonable. Piece continues. Santiment goes on to say that last week's crash was one of the sharpest drops witnessed this year, but notes that Bitcoin whales have remained extremely active during the downturn. Quote, the dust has far from settled after crypto markets had one of its sharpest price drops of 2023. We are seeing a large amount of $1 million plus Bitcoin transactions, indicating whales are very active on this dump, but the amount of large wallets is not falling. End quote. So read between the lines there. Gigantic transactions from whales, but you don't see the amount of large wallets falling. Well, if they're not falling, but there are all these transactions, what might we reasonably conclude? They're adding. They're taking advantage of the lower prices here. It's never the end of the world here, folks. It just isn't. This is a great time to be in crypto. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.